I ain't gonna hold you. I was traumatized. Men pretend. Like, you so worried about what's going on in between my legs. This is not an option. Come get these kids. Ooh, the girls gonna be a friend to you about this one. What's up, mommy gang? We are back with another episode. Y'all, today we are talking about dating, co-parenting, and finances. It's so much that goes into being a single mom when it comes to dating that we never had to think about before. I never had to think about before, especially having a daughter. As you may or may not know, I have a 3-year-old daughter. And when I think about dating now, it is a little bit daunting because not only am I dating for myself, I'm dating for my daughter, obviously, because the man that I choose in my life is going to be a part of her life. And as a woman, we get so much judgment around having a child in general. A lot of people consider it baggage, which, child, please, okay? There are plenty of men out here who are willing to take you and your built-in family, let's be clear, because not only do they get to see what type of woman you are, they get to see what type of mother you are. Becoming a mom changes you, obviously, in so many different ways. It changes your priorities, it changes your temperament, it changes your stimulation, all of these things that go into it. So we're going to talk about dating. We're also going to talk about co-parenting. What does that look like when you are no longer with your partner, when you're no longer with your ex, when you're no longer with your husband? I created this podcast because there are a lot of conversations that we need to have as adults that a lot of times we simply don't know how to navigate. And especially when it comes to co-parenting and understanding that we both still have a responsibility to this child. You don't have a responsibility to me. I can't control you. You can't control me. But when it comes to this child, we need to have a shared agreement. And y'all may or may not know how I feel about that from the other podcast. But at the end of the day, that child is 50% yours and 50% his. And once you make a decision to bring a child into this world, it's a shared responsibility, and we can't say, oh, I'm gonna share here but won't share there, or because he doesn't show up and do this for me, then he's not allowed to have any say about this thing. That creates so much animosity and so much resentment. Well, we're gonna get into that on the episode. Okay, we're gonna take a deep dive into that, as well as finances. That is probably one of the hardest struggles when it comes to taking care of kids, but it's not the end all be all, because here's the thing: there's always money out there, there's always money to be made. But I do understand the struggle when the financial responsibility is not shared. That's when it could cause a lot of problems in the relationship or in the co-parenting situationship, because a lot of men try to punish women with finances, just like a lot of women try to punish men by trying to control what could happen with the kids. So we're going to take a deep dive into it. Y'all sit back, relax, enjoy the episode. I'm so glad to have y'all here, mommy gang. Y'all know y'all my girls, tingling. So let's get into it. Keep in mind, y'all, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and put this out here and manifest it, because I definitely want to have other mothers come on this podcast. This is not just about me and my opinions. There are so many walks of life into motherhood. And so I'm going to have guest mothers on the podcast that are married, that are divorced, that are single, that are pregnant, whatever the case may be. So if you're manifesting that, just go ahead and slide in my DMs or something, because we gonna figure it out. I just feel like this platform is such a huge opportunity to share our stories and to share our walks of life, and to understand that we are not alone in this motherhood journey. This is our village, okay? The mommy gang is our village to, like I said, feel seen, heard, and validated in our experience and how we feel. So definitely manifesting the girls who want to share their story on the Mommy Gang podcast. Okay, So let's get into it. Segment 1, dating as a single parent. Okay, so the first question: how do you find time to meet new people, date, or be in a relationship as a single parent? Girl, as for me in my house, I didn't date for the first 2 years. I didn't even think about it, consider it, want to, any of those things, because I just felt like I wanted to prioritize being a mom and understanding this new version of myself. I ain't gonna hold you. I was traumatized, okay? I was very traumatized with dating with my child's father, and bringing a new person around my child just didn't seem right. So for the first 2 years, I didn't really focus on dating. Now that Parker's 3, I am getting back into the dating world, and I find time by going out, having drinks. When I was working at nightlife, I would, obviously meet people there. It was still never around my daughter, but having a babysitter, me and my nephew live together. And so whenever he's available to watch her, I let him. Like, I try not to feel guilty about it. And sometimes I do. And I ask, like, do you think I should go out tonight? Like, I haven't been out, in a long time. And he's always like, yes, girl, go. Or even when it comes to my parents, and they don't mind watching her. So I do have that support to go out and meet people, but I highly encourage every single mom to continue dating. Do not cut your life off because you have a child, because it's important for your mental health to know you still very much that girl and you deserve love, and to find a man to have that masculine energy in your home, period. Like, we not stop living our lives. Have you ever been in a relationship where you introduce your child to your partner? What made you feel comfortable making that decision? I know this is like a big thing because for me, I don't feel like my child needs a father. Let's be clear. She has a dad. So I'm not dating for you to meet my daughter, for you to come and be this presence in her life. I'm dating for me. And there's a big difference in between that, because a lot of men may feel that obligation or responsibility as if he's auditioning to be the stepfather. No, you dated me. So as far as meeting my child, that has like messed up a relationship for me, because he's doing the things that I want him to do for me in our relationship, but no, you can't come to my house. No, you can't meet my daughter because this is her personal space. So that's a big thing for me, but I do understand there are mothers out there who do allow that, and that's your prerogative, that's your business. But I think it's a big thing to be mindful of the company you keep and who you're introducing your children to, and making sure that it's some type of seriousness there and purpose, because a man will do what you allow them to do. And if you allow him to come up in your home and lay up with your kids and eat their snacks, that's what he gonna do. But if you are vetting these people and making sure, hey, I need you to be a provider, because I'm doing this by myself, then it changes who you allow to even meet your children. So the standard for me is, how serious is this relationship? And for me, it ain't been that serious. Okay. How has being a single mom changed the way you approach dating and relationship? What qualities do you look for in a partner before deciding they're ready to meet your child? That is a very good question, because that man has to like children. He has to understand the sacrifice, the patience, the selflessness that comes with being a parent. So the first thing I would look for is, do you like kids? Do you understand that they're going to be crawling on your head and doing backflips and having crumbs everywhere and crawling in the bed in the middle of the night? That's important, because men will get agitated. Shoot, I get agitated and irritated when my baby come crawling my bed. I'm like, sleep in your bed. That's why I put all that money into your bed and lights and the butterflies, to make sure that it is a safe space for you. So knowing if that man likes kids, understanding that there's going to be sacrifices of our quality time, knowing that we have to prioritize our dating life and our relationship, but we also have to prioritize parenting and our children. That is something that I would definitely ask about, but also letting him know, I'm not asking you to be a father unless that's what you want to be. But you're not going to come in here and ignore my child and act like they don't exist and they're unimportant because you just want what's in between my legs. Let's be clear. I definitely think bringing up the conversation before they are introduced on how you feel about kids, y'all, we have to think about this stuff. And we have to prioritize asking these questions so we know who we dealing with, so we can't get bamboozled like I did the first time. That's neither here nor there. Have you ever experienced challenges where your role as a mom impacted your relationship, and how did you handle it? Y'all, I would love to know the answer to this question in the comments for y'all, because a lot of men get jealous. Let's be clear. A lot of men want the attention, and two, they feel like mothers prioritize their children, rightfully so. And I've heard it said that expecting them to come in and be the provider and pay the bills and do all of these things and then be prioritized last presents a problem. So, knowing that we make sacrifices as a mom to put our kids first, it's up to us to also find balance between being a mother and being a wife or being a girlfriend. So, I'm going to pose that question to y'all. What challenges or experiences have y'all had with dating that you feel like you had to choose or prioritize your relationship over your kids or your kids over your relationship? Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about the stigma or judgment from people who say children are extra baggage and assume no one wants to date a single mom? Child, please, baby. It is too many stepdaddies out here, okay? The world is filled with stepdads. Let's be very clear. So for people to say that kids are extra baggage, you know what type of man you're dealing with right off the bat. You know if a man considers your kids a problem or an issue, or feel like he needs to compete with children or with babies, you know what type of man you're dealing with. That is a very narcissistic man. That is a very selfish man. And if he doesn't have kids, or if he does, but he's dealing with kids that are not his, he's well within his rights to think that, but that should not diminish your choice as a mother and the type of woman that you show up to be, because a lot of women will pick their man over their kids. And sis, I ain't judging you, but I'm gonna say it with my chest. That ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That's not right to make your kids feel unworthy or unloved or less than just because mama got to have a life too. And you're not thinking about the well-being and the health, the mental health of your children because you're prioritizing a relationship over them. You chose to be a mom. And with that comes sacrifice. So it's very important to make your kids feel loved and needed, and make sure you picking a partner that understands the importance of that. Children are not extra baggage. They are family. They are a priority. They are important. They deserve love and attention. Have you ever encountered men with a positive attitude about stepping into a stepfather role? Absolutely. Let me tell you something. There are provider men out here. Okay, let's be very clear. There are men who run from responsibility and there are men who run towards it. Listen, I am a living witness. I have had men pay all of my bills and never met my child. Let's be very clear. There are men who are very much willing to, hey, let me come fix her bed. Let me come do this. I'm gonna buy her Christmas presents. What does Parker want for Christmas? Like, girl, don't listen to these people. Do not listen to the world and the opinions of people who are insecure, who are not providers, who are not generous, and who can't even take care of themselves, let alone a child, or who just don't prioritize children. Tell you that you can't, that there are not stepfathers out here. Baby, there are plenty of them. There are men who don't want their own children, who feel like they're too old or too whatever, and who are willing to take in a built-in family. Child, please, I better watch the men y'all dating, okay? But how do you feel about dating men with children? Does that add to or complicate the dynamic for you? I'll say dating a man. Have I dated a man with children? I have not experienced it. So let me start there. I have not experienced dating a man with children that I had to be involved in their lives. I'm lying. Hold up. Hold my phone. I am very much lying. I have dated a man with children who were the same age as Parker. And let me tell y'all my experience about that. So I thought that because he had children that were, I think his son was a couple years older than Parker, maybe like one or two, and his daughter was like a couple months younger than Parker. I thought that that would make a perfect family because all of the children can relate to one another. But what it did was create animosity amongst the children and amongst the dad, because Parker was one. So she didn't all the way understand that that's not her dad. So when his kids would come over, she's with him. We're with him all week, but it was a live-in situation. Y'all forgot about this because it was so brief. Like it was like 2 months and it didn't work out. But when his kids would come over for the weekend, y'all, I was a present step parent, right? I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was helping taking baths, I was braiding her hair like Parker's, like the whole 9 yards. Oh my God, y'all, I forgot about this. And when they would come over, they grew up with their dad. Like, he had went through a divorce. And so they would get jealous because Parker was being territorial over him, which I understand. Like, that's y'all dad. They're going to feel the type of way. But instead of him helping them understand, I felt like he picked sides. And which, hey, those are your kids. And they would like start getting aggressive with Parker, and Parker would get aggressive with them as well. So instead of us communicating with them and trying to help them understand the dynamic of the relationship, he would allow his kids to, like, his son spat at Parker one time and like hit her. And I'm like, that was when I knew this relationship wasn't going to work, because you watched him do that and you allowed him to do that and you got me messed up. You know what I'm saying? So I think I come from a blended family. So I understand the dynamic of making the children feel the same and not allowing them to do that to one another, mistreat one another, or you know what I'm saying? So if you don't have a partner that's like that, or if y'all don't have that understanding, it's going to cause problems. So no, I am the type of woman who will embrace children. I have 18 nieces and nephews. I've been an aunt since I was 10 years old. I'm 35. So I understand the behaviors of children. Being in a blended family, it's important that you and your partner are on the same page, period. All right, y'all. So that brings us into the next segment. When is it the right time to introduce kids? Introducing your kids to a new partner is one of the biggest decisions you can make when dating as a single parent. So there's no rule book to this. You can introduce them if you feel like this is your man and y'all are happily in love in a month, in a week, whatever. But realize when that man leaves you, he leaving them kids too, okay? Or, taking a year or two, whatever the case may be, whatever feels comfortable for you. But let's get into what that looks like for us as single mothers. Okay, first question. How do you approach the conversation about having a child when you're dating someone new? Me, I'm transparent. I'm like, I have a kid, I have a 3-year-old daughter. I want you to know right off the bat, because I want you to know if this is the right situation for you or not. Baby, don't play with me. My daughter is very important to me, and that's not something that I particularly hide. Now, I do understand that there are women who will wait a couple dates to make sure that he's serious. And I see why, because if you tell a man that you have kids and deep down he knows that he doesn't want that, men pretend. And he may pretend like that's something that he want, and then he doesn't. But on the opposite side of that, waiting to tell him, and then now he's emotionally invested in you after, dating for a while, and then you tell him you have kids. To me, that almost feels like tricking him. That almost feels like tricking a man into, but you never know. So to each their own. Me personally, first date, I'm letting you know because I want to know how you feel about it. When do you feel is the right time for your child to meet your partner? What factors help you make that decision? For me, I wouldn't mind introducing that man to my partner when I know we are in love, baby. I know this is my man, my man, my man. And he understands me as a woman. He understands me as a mom, as a parent. He understands what it means to be a father, how important parenthood is to me. He prioritizes his family. He's just prepared. If I know a man is prepared to be the leader, there we go. If I know that man is prepared to be the leader of my family that I already have with my daughter, he wants more children, he's ready for marriage, like at this point, those are the things that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a booty buddy. I'm not looking for you to just date me. I'm looking for the head of my household. I'm looking for a man that is running towards responsibility and wants to be that protector and provider. If I know we just having fun, we just gonna have fun. Okay? What Summer Walker said? Because if I had you back, all I want to do is, there's a time for that. And until I meet my husband, thug love. How would you prepare both your partner and your child for that first meeting? What's the conversation like leading up to it? Okay, so I'm very big on my daughter's personal space. I feel like our home is her sacred space. So before I would introduce somebody to her, I wouldn't bring them in the home. I would let's go out somewhere where she can play, she can warm up to you, she can, get to know you outside of the home before I just move a man in the house and then now he's here. I think it's very important for if done the right way, the kid to date the man too in some way. Like, okay, let him take her out to dinner. Let him show you like you are a trustworthy person. You know how to treat a woman. You know how to treat kids. That's very important to me. So I think that would be like the first meeting, and then gradually bringing him into the home. Like, okay, we're going to have dinner at home. We're going to have a play date. We're going to, like let her get to know him instead of just he moved in. Are we moving in with him? This is your new dad. That's crazy. You are a stranger, sir. And I would let him know the same thing. Like we would be on the same page, of course, about that, like my intentions with that. And I know that the right man will respect it for sure. How do you ensure your child's routine and sense of stability aren't disrupted by your dating life? Again, that goes back into properly introducing, gradually bringing that man around, not just throwing a man into the puzzle. As far as when I'm going on a date, I tell Parker, mommy's going on a date. So she understands what dating is. I tell her, mommy's looking for a new man. How would you like if I got married, if mommy got a husband, we have more kids, and joke with her about it. So she understands, mommy out here looking for a man, okay? I just talked to her about it. She's 3 years old. She doesn't have full understanding of it, but she definitely understands that in order for us to have a family and more kids, that I gotta find a man. And in order for her to have siblings, mommy gotta have a new baby. I definitely would just try to introduce it to her and talk to her about it instead of just throwing it on her at one time. What boundaries do you set for your children when introducing them to your partner, and how do you communicate those boundaries to everyone involved? Ooh, this is so good because I have a lot of trauma around sexual abuse. Let's be very clear. I have trauma around unidentified males. So, boundaries for me, and I don't know, a lot of moms, I've talked to a mom who said she didn't even think about it. Like that man just spoils her baby and they're good. She doesn't think about that because she doesn't have that trauma. For me, I think about those things. So, I'm very big on personal space and reminding Parker that people have personal space, and you're not allowed to just jump in somebody's face or be all over this person that you just met. You don't know him. So one of the things that I incorporate with that when I'm introducing Parker to any male is you shake his hand. Like we don't do hugging and hold on to his leg and all of these things when you don't even know this man. Yeah, you need to, like, I feel like that teaches her boundaries and that teaches her about trust. And you got to learn to trust this person, especially if you have super friendly kids. Now, if you have kids that are more standoffish, that may not be a big of a deal, but for me, it's a big deal. Like we want to make sure that you learn how to respect masculine energy and men who are especially strangers. And then once y'all get to know each other and develop a relationship, then of course all of those things are fine with me. Has there ever been a moment when you realized it was or wasn't the right time to introduce your child to someone? What did that experience teach you? Ooh. Okay, y'all. So the last guy I was dating, he was a very nice guy, but he was just moving a little too fast for me. And I think because at the time he was supporting me financially. Listen, I love a provider, okay? That is on my list. He felt like he had more rights and privileges to my home and my child. And that didn't sit well with me because you're dating me. You're doing this for me. This has nothing to do with my child. And like I said, I'm very protective of her personal space. So for a man to be providing for me and not be allowed to have his way and have a key and all of these things, it bothered him. And so that kind of opened his eyes to, okay, I'm doing all of this for you and I don't have access to this, that, and the other. So he felt some type of way. And to me, that's like a sense of control. You wanted a certain amount of control in the situation, and that's just not going to happen for me. This is my house. I'm a grown woman. And if you feel like because you're doing XYZ for me, that gives you rights to things that I'm not comfortable with yet, then this relationship is not going to work. So I've definitely experienced that, and nobody's going to force me to do things that I'm uncomfortable with, especially when it comes to my child. So that experience definitely taught me that whoever I'm dating, we need to have a clear understanding of boundaries and expectations, because I'm just a very independent woman, and in certain senses, like I know how to make my own decisions, and I have to learn to trust a man's decision. I don't care how fast we are moving when it comes to my life and my child's life, we're going to move in my pace. Period. What advice would you give to parents navigating the process of introducing their child to a new partner for the first time? Take your time. There is no rush. There is no rush in getting married. There is no rush in, even having another baby or introducing your children. Truly get to know your partner, baby. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life and what to do, but just know that what's meant for you doesn't need to be rushed. What's in alignment with what you want for your children and your life will not feel forced when it comes to just co-parenting dating. So I'm going to insert this reel that I posted where this man is talking about how he wouldn't watch his kids if his baby mama is too freaky. So this part of the show is called Club Comments, where y'all, I post a lot of funny reels.
Now, all jokes aside, my baby mother too freaky. I'm really never watching my kids, bro. Unless she got to go to work. That's the only time I'm watching my kids, bro. And I need to see that work schedule. Not watching no kids. You don't get no time to yourself. You're too freaky. I'm hating. I'm cock blocking, all that shit. You get no time to yourself. Absolutely none. Watch my kid. That's your job. That's what God put you on this earth for, you heard? From this point on, watch my kid. You get no time.
This stirred the pot, honey. So I'm going to go through some random comments so y'all can see what people really be out here thinking and saying on these internet streets. She Cook Fancy said, this is abuse. Facts. I think it's OANAM_04 says, sir, you will be a single dad with full custody. Don't play with me, period. Because if you think you're about to stop my life, you got another thing coming. Mother Aquarius said, meanwhile, he got all the freedom to be out in these streets making more kids. Ooh, clock that tea, baby. Because yes, these men will be out here being bigger hoes than a woman and then want to get out here and try to tell somebody what they can do with their life. Let's get into that. Some men will really get you pregnant just to ruin your life. Like, that's not talked about enough. A man will get you pregnant, have kids with you just so that nobody else can have access to you. And we have to be very mindful of that because they just want to possess you. They just want to own and control you. That is all. The Opulent K said, your child's father is indeed your biggest hater. If he can't have you, then you can't have no fun. Facts. No, Issy Cricket 00 said, laughing my ass off. My ex-husband tried to block it, but the king was here so that little boy couldn't stop nothing. Stepdaddy, step up, period. Nia Long said, you should look after your kids regardless. That's the problem. Too worried about what the other parent is doing. Facts. Because the fact that you would even say, watch your kid, sir, what do you mean watch your kid? Like, this is not an option. Come get these kids. Braid Me Pretty K said, don't want her to do her, but you want to be a deadbeat so you can do you. Clock it. Naf F. Gracie said, they don't want us to find our soulmates. Facts. SVVRGN says, see, and I'm that baby mama that's going to get freaky with the kids in the house. Listen, mama gotta have a life too. You can come over, but wait until about 12, 1 o'clock when I know she good and sleep. You gonna sneak in the back. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with it, girl. Kudos to you. Okay, I'm gonna read one more. 1213 Queen Bee said, well, guess Junior will be asleep down the hall and that soft music playing with the door locked. Don't worry, the TV will be on Paw Patrol all night. He won't know a thing, not blocking anything. Let me tell you something, baby daddies. Y'all are not blocking anything. A woman who wants to will, period. And it's just so crazy that you don't feel a innate duty to just come pick up these kids and give a mama a break. Come pick up these kids just so they can know who their daddy is. Like, you so worried about what's going on in between my legs that you can't focus on yourself. So if there is a baby daddy watching, and let's call him a bitter baby daddy because that is very much bitter, focus on yourself and your children. Men are just, y'all, I got so much to say about this. I have so much to say about this because men can be very selfish, for one, when they realize that the woman no longer wants anything to do with them. And my child's father has even said to me that if he gave me money or helped out, my problems would be solved, but he would still be, I guess, feel shorthanded. And it's like, what? Maybe y'all can help me understand, because I don't understand that. Maybe that's just a person who doesn't want to be a father in general and just feels like, it's just something that he doesn't want to deal with. But at the same time, sir, come get these kids. Come get these kids with your bitter ass. So, co parenting can be very difficult, especially when you're dealing with a partner who is emotionally abusive, financially abusive, mentally abusive, and or narcissistic, or just doesn't want anything to do with the kids. So I had to go through my own healing process with AI to understand how to deal with my co-parent. And I wrote my book, Beyond Good Enough, to really help us as moms, as women, to understand motherhood, define the type of mothers and women that we want to be. Y'all, this is more, let me say this is more than just a book. This is a workbook. This is a guide to healing, therapy, with the help of ChatGPT and AI. So a big thing that I struggled with was processing how I even got into the situation with my child's father. And it was a time that I obviously didn't love myself, and I was in a dark place and he was in a dark place too. So I had to use, with the help of AI, I was able to rewrite my story and rewrite my beliefs around where I was at that time and forgive myself for it. So, with the help of AI and chapter 3, reframing your past, using ChatGPT to reframe your past, finding the happiness in each memory, and creating a new narrative, you will be able to move on. Let me tell you, because even if a man doesn't know how to move on, a woman does. And a big part of that is changing the way that you think about the situation. No matter if you were married, no matter if you are going through a divorce, you are married, it was a one night stand, it was an accident, it was a oops baby, whatever the case may be, understanding that God put you in that position for a reason, made you a mother for a reason, and really being able to take control of the narrative and use that story for your benefit is going to be a big part in your healing journey. And you can do that with AI and ChatGPT the same way that I did. So make sure you grab Beyond Good Enough to go through all of it, y'all, from start to finish, because it's not a one size fit all. It's not if I get healing with this, then my life is going to be okay. No, it is a process. Healing is a journey. And I don't even know if it has a destination, if I'm being quite honest. But being able to empower yourself through your stories is a game changer. So now I want to take the time to do an Ask AI segment where we talk to AI about our problems. So the question that I want to ask today is, what advice would you give a single mom who is getting back into dating again? What should she look for in a partner, and what standards should she have in place? Okay, advice for single moms getting back into dating. Dating as a single mom comes with a unique set of challenges, but it also presents an opportunity to be intentional about what you want in a partner. Here's how to approach dating with confidence and clarity. Number 1, take your time and date with purpose. Your time is valuable and your emotional energy is even more precious. Instead of rushing into something, be selective about who gets access to your energy and space. Ask yourself, am I emotionally ready to date, or do I need more time to heal? Am I dating because I'm lonely, or because I'm truly ready for partnership? What kind of relationship do I actually want? Standard. Date with purpose. Don't settle for situationships. If a man can't articulate what he wants, he's not for you. Number 2, look for a partner, not a project. You are already responsible. Oh, baby, when I tell you ChatGPT, okay, girl. Look for a partner, not a project. You are already responsible for a child, and you don't need to raise a man too. A potential partner should bring stability, not chaos. Red flags to watch for. He is inconsistent, disappears, doesn't follow through, or leaves you guessing. He speaks negatively about his ex or doesn't take accountability for his past relationships. He avoids responsibility in his own life, job instability, financial recklessness, etc. Standard, a grown man with a solid foundation, financially, emotionally, and mentally. Number three, a partner who respects your motherhood. You are a package deal. A man who sees your child as baggage isn't a man for you. Your child is your priority, and any potential partner should respect and support that. Ask yourself, does he understand that my child comes first? Does he pressure me for time and attention without considering my responsibilities? Is he mature enough to embrace the reality of dating as a mother? Standard, if he can't respect your role as a mother, he doesn't deserve a role in your life. Number four, emotional maturity and stability. You've likely dealt with enough stress from your past relationships. Now you need a man who brings peace, not problems. Signs he's emotionally mature. He communicates openly and honestly. He doesn't manipulate or gaslight. He supports your growth and independence. He respects your boundaries without making you feel guilty. Standard, no drama or toxic behavior. Emotional intelligence is a must. Number five, protect your peace and your child's well being. Your child's safety, emotionally and physically, comes before any relationship. Be cautious about introducing a new partner too soon. Boundaries to consider. Don't introduce your child until the relationship is serious. Keep your dating life private from your child until you trust the person. Set clear expectations about involvement. Your child doesn't need temporary figures in their life. Standard, he must earn the privilege of meeting your child. This is not automatic. Number six, know your worth and don't settle. After experiencing single motherhood, you should have a deep understanding of what you bring to the table. Never lower your standards out of fear of being alone. Affirmations for dating as a single mom. I am deserving of love that supports, nurtures, and empowers me. My child and I deserve a healthy, stable, and loving environment. I will not accept less than what aligns with my values. You are the prize. If a man can't see that, he's not the one. Final advice. Dating as a single mom isn't about finding someone to help you. It's about choosing a partner who enhances your life, respects your journey, and brings peace and joy into your world. What's one standard? Okay, so I'm going to ask y'all and y'all can leave a comment. What's one standard you set for dating as a single mom? Drop it in the comments. All right, so let's get into the next part, meeting the co-parents. Now we're going to get into co-parenting, y'all. Okay, co-parenting dynamics. What advice would you give to co-parents navigating those tough first years? Ooh, because I ain't going to hold you. That first 2 to 3 to 5 years is so hard because you're still figuring out motherhood. You're still figuring out the type of father he is. There's trust that needs to be at play around introducing new partners, around what school they're going to go to, childcare, finances. There's so many things that emotionally drag you those first couple of years when you're trying to figure out what your co-parenting dynamic is going to be. As a mom, we tend to try to control when he shows up, when he picks up the kids, how often he keeps them, are you doing enough? And I feel like the best thing we can do as mothers is not to do that. Is to allow that man to show up as the father that he wants to be. Now, of course, I'm not saying don't advocate for your children. Yes, but realize that you're going to stress yourself out trying to control that man. You're going to stress yourself out trying to make him be the father that you want him to be. If he's not willingly doing it, it's not in him to do. And you can pray about it, you can talk to him about it, but you cannot force or control the situation. So the best thing you could do for yourself is to heal. Is to heal, understand your power, understand who you are as a woman and what you can do and what you're capable of. Get into your bag, okay? And be the best mother that you can be, because we cannot, another thing I want to say is like we cannot shield our children from life and the type of partner that we chose. Nothing is going to change that. So it is best for us to just do our best and being the best woman and parent that we can be, and allowing that man, our co-parent, to be who he decides to be. How did you learn to separate your personal feelings and emotions from the co-parenting relationship? Ooh, that is an ongoing journey, girl, because one thing that I do respect about my child's father is that he said this when I was pregnant. When our child is with me, she's my responsibility. Her safety, how I provide for her, all of the things. And vice versa. When the child is with him, he's responsible for those things. And honestly, that makes our job 10 times easier because You can't control what go on in somebody else's house. And that man gonna do what he wanna do, whether you call it or not. So that is really the best co-parenting decision because it is his responsibility and we can't mother him too. So it is his responsibility to feed them, clothe them, make sure they're taking a bath. Now, I'm not saying don't advocate for your child because I do. If I sense something ain't right, I'm speaking on it. Not in a way of this needs to change. You don't need to have her around. My daughter don't need to be doing this while she over there. I don't do that. But I do say, I'm not comfortable with this, or I noticed that this happened with Parker. Can you tell me what's going on? Can you tell me, what's her sleeping arrangements? Or I would prefer if you don't feed her McDonald's, but I know I can't control it. And it's less stressful for me to not try to control it because it's not real control anyway. Taking out how you feel about the way that he parents is important. And I have to go back to your child. That's both of y'all child. It's not just your child, it's both of y'all child. And there are things that you may want to shield your child from. If the dad is broken, he doesn't have a fancy house, or he doesn't have, the means to do X, Y, and Z, or he does, and he's living lavish and he's living this lifestyle that's different from yours. It is your child's right to experience both parents in their own way. Right? Who's to say, y'all really think about this? Who's to say as a mother you're doing everything right? Even though you feel like it, who's to say that you are? Right? Because we can't shield our children from life itself. No matter how good of a parent, a mother that we want to be, that child still has to go to school and experience life. That child still has to get a job and go out into life. And that child may resent you more in the end with you trying to shield them from everything than you just allowing them to experience life the way that it comes, because we truly do not have control over that. Our job is to love our children, provide for our children, and do the best that we can, but they are still individuals and they still have the right to know both parents and how they operate and grow up and make their own decisions. So take your feelings and emotions out of it. In a perfect world, what would balancing co-parenting responsibilities look like for you? Would you be open to a 50-50 arrangement? Me? Absolutely. I know a lot of women are particular about this because some women would rather the child support than the support. They would rather feel like they have control over that man versus that man actually providing for the child. And the big takeaway here is realizing that that man don't owe you nothing. If y'all are not together anymore, he's not responsible for you. He's responsible for his child. So again, however he chooses to provide, show up, be a parent, that's on him. In my personal opinion, y'all can let me know how y'all feel in the comments. In my personal opinion, if you have a man that's willing to take the child 3 or 4 days out of the week or for 2 weeks out of the month, baby, give that man them kids so you can have a life, so you can have some sense of normalcy, because otherwise it all falls on you. I don't think we realize sometimes as women how when we try to lead with an iron fist and control everything in the situation and the parenting dynamic, how it just puts us further in the hole, makes us more stressed out, overwhelmed, overstimulated, because we can't run him and we can't tell him what to do and how to do it because we so in our feelings and emotionally involved and invested. Them kids have a right to experience that man just how you did. Okay? Clock it. But I mean, in finding balance, realistically, whether it's child support, whether it's visitation, however that man chooses to show up, that's the balance because you don't have no control over him. Ooh, this is a good question. How do you navigate differences in parenting styles between you and your co-parent? Can you share an example of an issue you had to make a big decision on for your child? My child's father is African, Nigerian, and he is big on discipline, child. And let me say this, sometimes I feel like fathers who are so big on discipline, that may be the only thing that they have to provide to a child, because do you know how to love a child? But that's neither here nor there. But when it comes to discipline, for me, having a daughter, I don't agree with a man putting his hands on a little girl. My mom didn't do it for me, and I feel like, especially when you have a masculine man, just the way you speak to her can make her move. You don't have to hit her, because what are you teaching her about a man putting his hands on a woman. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I have a big problem with that, and I communicated that with him. And at first he was resistant against it, but then he understood. Once he digested it in his own way, he understood where I was coming from, because I don't have a bad child. Like, Parker's not a bad child, and she's only at the time 2, 3 years old. What do you have to beat a 2 year old for? Why are you so angry? So, absolutely not. That was something that was a deal breaker for me. And we had to talk about it. And I remember one time he called me and he's like, I don't want to have to negotiate with Parker all the time. She's 2 years old. She's just trying to manipulate me. What? What? Oh, so she got it honest. Nonetheless, I had to tell him in that conversation, you don't get to call me and tell me how to discipline my child, or what I am or not doing with my child, because what are you doing? How are you showing up? I've been mom and dad. So I'm going to need you to step up and do your part instead of calling my phone and telling me what I'm not doing. Period. So once we got that conversation and that understanding out the way, now he understands what he needs to do as a man and as a father. But I bet not ever come to my child and she's telling me that daddy popped me because I peed on myself. She's 2. She had an accident. She's learning to be potty trained. What are you hitting her for? I don't like it. So for me, having conversations around what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with is how I deal with my co-parent. How much influence do you think your co-parent's new partner should have in decision making as a father or a mother figure? Ooh, the girls gonna be in a frenzy about this one. Parker's dad date has a girlfriend, and they have a daughter together. And I had to, after meeting her, oddly enough, I had sold her a puppy before, so we had encountered one another before. And when she got with him years later, I could tell, like, she wanted to enforce her presence. And she texted me one day about a conversation, and it was like she was trying to check me. And I had to politely let her know, this is what it is, this is what it ain't. Don't nobody want your man, but please don't think bully. Like, don't ever come at me like that. And after time passed, I think she learned to respect me. With all due respect, I have the highest respect for this woman. We have had to, I end up actually texting them in a group message to let her know there was a situation where I know that it was her who felt like Parker wasn't following her directions, or I had let Parker take a dollhouse over there and she wanted to keep it there, but Parker, like, I'm big on Parker keeping up with her toys. And Parker was like, no. And so she's negotiated with this lady about, I need to take my dollhouse back. And so she brought it outside and she was like, I tried to get her to keep it here so she has toys here. And I'm like, Parker, it's okay. And then Parker let it go. And then I text him that this is when a couple hours later, baby daddy called me about, I shouldn't have to negotiate with Parker. She needs discipline XYZ. And so then I texted him in a group message because I knew where it came from. And I let her know that I'm going to actually read the text message because I feel like it was a very crucial text message for, as a mature adult to have this conversation. So I texted her and I said, them together, I wanted to address what happened last night with Parker. First, I appreciate you both taking care of her when she's with you. I know parenting a strong-willed 3-year-old can have its challenges. She has strong-willed parents, LOL, but it's important that we are on the same page. I understand Parker can test boundaries. She's still learning how to exercise her individuality as a toddler. At home, I encourage her independence, responsibility, and thinking for herself, which sometimes means she pushes back on instructions. When it came to the dollhouse, I know she wanted to bring it back because I get on her about keeping up with her toys. It may be better for her to have her own toys and clothes, etc., over there if this continues to cause discomfort. That said, I am open to finding ways for this lady to establish herself as an authority figure when Parker is with y'all, like using non-physical discipline methods such as taking away the iPad, timeout, or requiring her to take a nap when needed. I think it's important that Parker respects the rules you set at your house and respecting both of you as parents or parental figures. As for the call, I want to make sure we're both contributing to Parker's discipline and development. If you feel there are behavior issues, I believe it's your your role as her father to address them when she's with you, rather than putting the responsibility solely on me. I do my best playing both roles more often than not, and I'm always the bad guy. She needs your presence and guidance as much as mine, especially when it comes to setting boundaries. It's going to take both of us being fully engaged in her life to make sure she grows into a responsible and respectable child. Let's continue to work together to ensure Parksher has structure, love, and discipline she needs from both sides. I'm here to support this process and open to any suggestions you both have. I didn't really get a response, but I got the message across. And I noticed that she would then have Parker call her Miss, and she was able to establish boundaries with Parker. And I feel like that's okay because that's not my house. And children are different with different people. So it's important that Parker knows, because she is a very strong-willed child, that she has to respect the rules of their house and that they have my full support in that. Because otherwise you turn into bitter baby mama, and now you telling your child that ain't your mama, you don't gotta listen to her, you don't gotta, and that creates chaos. And it's just not fair. It's not fair to nobody. How would you feel if your child didn't want to go to the other parent's house? And how would you address that situation? Parker do not like going to her daddy's house, but I know it's because, one, she's used to being with her mom, and two, her dad is, his parenting style is different. So, she's learning to adjust, because at first she used to cry all the time. And let me tell you something, I truly had to set boundaries for myself, and him understanding that he had to respect me and my wishes, but also giving him the grace and the space to know that, like, I'm not trying to be all on how you discipline her or what goes on in your house. And I know that she's going to cry or whatever, but you got to get used to it. That's your daddy. And I tell her the same thing. That's your daddy. And daddy love you, and you got to figure out how to love him, and y'all got to figure out how to build a relationship together. So I don't intervene, because that's your dad. And I'm not going to down talk him. I'm not going to try to manipulate her. I'm going to allow y'all to develop a relationship as naturally as possible without me, because it doesn't include me. And that's just how I deal with that. Okay, y'all, so let's get into the next part of the show called BFFR. Be fucking for real. Y'all, a lot of this is going to come from comments, because the way people hop on the internet and use their little thumbs to speak on a situation that they don't have the inkling of clues about, it just disturbs me. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, be for real. Like, can we be for real? So this particular comment comes from the video I posted from Big Sexy, saying that a lot of women don't want to do it on their own. They do it because they have to. And I'm going to go ahead and insert this clip.
These women don't want to do it on their own. A lot of them have to do it on their own, because you have a lot of men that don't step up to the plate. I can't agree to that. You have a lot of men that are in a lot of situations, I can't agree to that, and they don't step up to be good fathers. That woman. Wait, let me finish though, Mozzie. They don't step up to be good fathers. They don't take care of the household. So she has to abort to the $2 rent to make sure that she's able to feed her kids. You have a lot of men, i.e., Vaughn, you didn't marry either one of your baby mamas. So that's a product right in itself of a broken home created by a man. So a lot of, let me finish this. What I'm saying, a lot of these women don't choose these things. They're given the cards and they play the cards right. Because at the end of the day, you have a lot of women, i.e. your mother, that you just set up here and say, raised you and took care of your household and made sure that she was good and took care of your responsibilities. She didn't want to do it on her own. She had to do it on her own. So maybe if a lot of men start stepping up to the plate, and I wasn't saying that I don't understand, I'm almost done. I wasn't saying that I don't understand the story of a black man, because I'm black before I'm gay. But I do know at the end of the day that a lot of men are dealt the cards of doing what the fuck they want to do, and they leave the bullshit to the woman, so she's going to pick up the pieces.
And that's big facts. And that's on Big Sexy. So we have the Queen Maker official who chose to use her phone to say women do choose it because they lie to themselves and pick men based on their sexual urges and fantasies. Women do not see men for who men really are because they don't want to. Women believe that they have the magic box to change a man into what she wants him to be for her. Yes, women choose the consequences they end up with. All choices have built-in consequences, and women deny and ignore them until they are hit with them, and then they play victim. And let me just insert my response to her. The victim to motherhood, victim to not having help, victim to being forced to provide alone. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because it does not. Now let's get into it. Because to say that a woman chose a situation or to blame a woman for it being her fault for getting pregnant, having a baby, and then a man not showing up and having to do that on her own is her fault is insane to me, because even if I chose to have sex with you, I chose to have a baby with you, you still choose your character. You still choose who you are and how you show up for these kids. I did not choose you to be a deadbeat, for you to be a deadbeat. I did not choose for you to not be responsible for these kids. That man chose that. So to go back to what the guy said, nah, because like that woman knew. That woman didn't know that you was gonna play her like that. Do you really think that woman would have had them kids if she knew that you was just gonna completely disappear from her life and not take care of your kids? Like, that makes absolutely no sense that any woman would choose that, or that is like the rationale of a man not showing up because you chose to have this baby. You chose to lay with me and plant your seed in me. So that's not a woman's choice. Like, that bothers my soul, because it's not a woman's choice what that man chooses. I chose you as a partner, as a lover, as a sex mate, whatever the case may be. I did not choose for you to not show up for these kids, for you to be a deadbeat. As far as a lot of women not seeing that man's character before, you got to realize a lot of men pretend, and they will pretend for as long as they have to until they know that they got you. Okay? So there are men who will wine and dine, who will pretend to be the perfect man, and you can be holding your own, and you can be within your power, strong in your feminine, taking care of yourself, doing all of the things. I am one of them. And as soon as he gets you pregnant and realize there's no turning back, or as soon as he marries you, or those kids come into this world, he flips the script, because now the power dynamic has changed and he thinks that you need him. And if he doesn't want to step up to that, if he doesn't want to be a man of his word, or just a man that takes responsibility, he will change. I did not choose that. I did not know that he would do that. I was not aware that he was even capable of it. Hell, he probably wasn't even aware that he was capable of it. So to try to put that on a woman, it's disgusting. Y'all, it is disgusting. And for the man to say, I never wanted to marry them. So you knew when you came in her, let's be raw, that you didn't want to marry her. You just wanted to keep her as a permanent figure in your life. And you didn't do it one time. You did it twice. You did it again. That's our fault. That man that's sitting right there on that couch is my fault. It's her fault. How could I know that he would ever think that or say that? No accountability. What bothers me is to be a grown ass man and sit on that couch, and this man is explaining how hard it is to be a single mom, and you sit there and point your finger and say that woman knew, instead of taking accountability for your children, is disgusting. And if your mama told you, that's not. And if that's what your mama told you or your daddy told you, to excuse your behavior and your responsibilities, they are sick too. And y'all have a generational curse that at some point somebody needs to heal, because you're going to keep making babies and pretending to be the perfect guy to get what you wanted between that woman's legs. And since you don't want to be controlled by it, you choose to walk away. That's the truth. That's the reality of a deadbeat daddy. So be fucking for real. Let's get into meeting the co-parent's new partner. There is a lot of issues that can be presented around this conversation, because we are human and not everyone sees eye to eye. It may never will. That woman may was the cause of your relationship going down the drain. That man may have ruined your life and left you with these kids. So there may be a lot of anger and resentment around the new partner, whatever the case may be. So let's just get into it and talk about it so we know how to handle these type of situations. So first question, do you think it's necessary for a co-parent to meet their ex's partner's new boyfriend or girlfriend before they're introduced to the child? Why or why not? I don't think necessarily before they're introduced to the child. It depends on the agreement that y'all have. I think it's important that we meet. For sure, because you need to see my face and I need to feel your energy and you need to feel mine when it comes to my kids. So I definitely think at some point, but if it's when the time is right. I'm going to just say that when the time is right, when respect is there, when boundaries are there, when there's, a mutual understanding, yes, the co-parent should meet this other person, whether it's on the phone, whether y'all go out to lunch or dinner together with the child, so that the child can see unity and understand that there is unity, and that if you do something over there, this woman can call me or that man can call me and let me know, what's going on with my child, because I want to know. I'm the type of I want to know, is she cutting up? Is she being disrespectful? Because let me get her together. Or is she being mean to you? Is she being, some type of way towards you? I want to know. I always want my daughter to know I have her back. So if that means meeting that new person, I'm not going to force when it happens. And I don't think anyone should, because if you, as a mom, if I want to introduce somebody to my child, I'm not going to ask you for permission. And so that dad deserves the same right. How can new partners show respect for the co-parenting relationship without overstepping their role? That is a very good question, because I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to women, they just want to feel a part of it. It is difficult to be in a relationship with someone, I can only imagine, and not feel like you can have a say in your own house about this child, or your own relationship about this child. Like, you are a part of the equation, whether I like it or not. So I definitely feel like it's important to have the conversation like I had with my baby daddy's girlfriend, that, okay, well, I'm okay with this type of discipline. I'm okay with, her respecting your house and your rules. But I like to have these type of conversations because, like I said, if she respects me, then she respects the child. If she don't like me, that's going to be passed off towards the child. So I want you to know I am comfortable with you being in a relationship with this man, because, baby, there's no attachments here, as well as you feeling a part of the family dynamic, because I do believe when she's over there, that's y'all family. That's the family that he has created for y'all. And I don't have anything to do with that. And I want her and my child to know, like, it's okay. It's okay, because if mommy feels some type of way, child feels that same type of way, dad feels the animosity, and that's going to trickle over to the partner, which ruins everything. So as the mother, I feel like it is my responsibility to, like, let her know that her presence is not offensive to me, it's not threatening to me, and I'm okay with it. But as far as her showing respect, I just think that that's a little deeper, because a lot of men do not agree with the co-parents, the women speaking to one another, right? And I think it's because they may just feel like some level of threat, like, what's she gonna say, how is she gonna act, how is she gonna be. The women, we gon', you know what I'm saying? To me, I would think that's what a man wants, but not every man wants that. And so I think it's very important that, I don't know, there needs to be some type of communication with that woman, because how does she know how to function in this relationship? If you exclude her, that creates animosity and resentment. But if you include her, then that creates a smoother transition, a foundation of expectations. So how that person can show respect is just by trying to be present, trying to be available, trying to be cooperative in the parenting situation, because you do have women out there who will keep the child away because it's less tension in their relationship and it's more attention on her. Girl, you toxic. If that is you, you are toxic, sis. If children threaten you as a woman, seek help. Seek help. Seek help. I can't stand a woman. And I've had a woman comment this. What about the woman who calls all the time to check on the kids, and even though it's nothing wrong with the kids, and she just want to feel like she have control over here? So I purposely keep him away. I keep him busy. She said this, that she keeps him busy so that he doesn't have time for his kids. Are you crazy? You're sick. You're delusional. That's disgusting. And I hope you find love, because only God. How do you feel about your co-parent's new partner spending time alone or watching your child? What factors would help you feel comfortable with that? I don't have okay, here's the thing, especially as a woman. 9 times out of 10, if your child goes to their house, that woman is going to be helping him with the kids. 9 times out of 10, taking baths every night, her cooking and fixing their plates. Like, she is the head of that household. So if he leaves and leaves her with the kid, that's why it's so important to have a healthy relationship with her, because sis, I want to make sure that you love my child, and that, like, the type of woman I am, I'm going to comb hair, I'm fixing plates, I'm changing diapers. Like, I'm not hands off, but I respect women who don't overplay their role and who don't overstep their boundaries if they don't have to. It doesn't bother me, but I am asking my child, how's your relationship with this woman? How is, is she nice to you? Is she this, that, and the other? Like, I'm asking these questions because I want to know that my child feels safe with her. And if she didn't, I would have a problem with that. If she told me that this person is mean to her, I would have a problem with that. And I'm going to speak on it, because I want y'all to know that I know. And I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to make it right. Or this don't have to, get down like that. Like I said in my last episode, safety concerns are a deal breaker for me. So if I don't feel like my child is safe in y'all's presence, oh, well, then let's just change the presence. Let's just she good over here. How would you handle the situation if either parent didn't like the new partner? What steps would you take to address concerns while balancing your own boundaries? I'm going to ask my child, does she feel safe? Does she feel okay? And if she does not complain about this person, I'm going to trust that everything is okay. But if I don't like her and she don't like me and she don't like my child, that presents a new problem. And then definitely boundaries have to be in place. I don't know, since I haven't been in that situation, but I can only imagine it with, like, previous partners that my child's father had, and she just didn't allow a relationship at all. And, I just had to deal with that. But I think that if me and her, as long as my child feels safe and doesn't express concerns, I would stay out of it. If she did, then we would have to deal with that from there. Okay, now let's get to the money, honey. Now we're going to talk about financial support. Finances are one of the most challenging parts of co-parenting, especially when the other parent is not contributing or being an equal partner. How do we navigate these conversations without letting it affect the kids? Y'all, I think this is like a number one concern for most parents, because it's hard doing everything by yourself, and it's not fair. It's not fair at all, but it's something that we have to deal with. So how do you feel when your child's father says, I don't have it? Y'all, this stresses me out. Because it's so unfair for you to just say I don't have it, because I don't have it either. But guess what? She still need Pampers. She still need clothes. She still need food. She still need shoes. I can't say I don't have it. I don't have it doesn't work in my vocabulary, because how's she gonna get it? So I have to figure it out. So I feel like you should have to figure it out too. But at the end of the day, we don't have control over it. So it's just like, I'ma still ask. I'm not going to let that deter me from asking, because you need to know that you are still responsible for stepping up for this child. But yeah, that pisses me off. That makes my egg want to ache a little bit more. Do you send your child with everything they need when they go to the other parent's house? Why or why not? I don't feel like I should have to, but I do. I send her with panties, pajamas, a couple outfits, shoes, boat reds, toys, iPad. I send everything, y'all. Snacks. I send a bag of snacks. I don't feel like I should have to, but knowing is half the battle, and I know who I'm dealing with, and I don't feed my child junk. So I send the snacks that I know she likes to eat, applesauce, organic things. And I know she doesn't have clothes and shoes over there. So if he's not contributing financially every month to her well-being, and he's acting like he don't have it or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to have my baby over there in the same clothes for days and days and days. I'm not going to have her not having snacks, not having food, because especially toddlers and little kids, they snack all day. They will snack you out of house and home. And a lot of times, I think this is so interesting, especially when it comes to just parents, but fathers. They will get upset that the child wants something because they don't have it. And we do it as just human beings. Like, we don't have money to get our child a new toy that they keep asking for. And we will get upset instead of explaining to the child, not right now. I'm gonna get it for you, but not right now. Yes, we can go to Target and get this toy, but not right now. You have toys, instead of saying, stop asking me for the doggone toy. I done told you, da-da-da-da. That's another reason why I send it, because I feel like I don't want you to get angry at her because she's asking for something that she's used to, because you don't have it. So that's just something, that's why I say I don't feel like I should have to. I try to send less and less every time so that he can step up. But I know that if his financial situation is not where, he could provide these things for her, then I'm not going to let my child go without because he not stepping up as a man. How much are you willing to compromise when your co-parent doesn't consistently show up or contribute financially? A lot of women punish the parent because he doesn't have it financially, and a lot of men will purposely not have it financially just to punish the mom. So even though my child's father doesn't pay child support, I still allow him to get Parker. I still want them to have a relationship. I try not to dwell on that because I never want money to be the reason why they don't have a relationship, or Parker doesn't know her dad or where she comes from, or I made a baby with him. And even though I don't like him, that doesn't mean that that's not still her dad and he doesn't have a right to have access to his child. I don't think that's fair. And I know a lot of women deal with that. You ain't paying child support, or if you don't give me this certain amount, then you don't get to see your child. But who does that hurt? You and the child. That don't hurt him. Like, he gonna be like, okay, well, I don't gotta worry about giving you my money. I can move how I want to move. So no, yes, come get this baby. Come get these kids. And when you got it, give it to her. What is a healthy way to navigate the conversation when you're carrying the majority of the financial or emotional burden and the father simply won't support? Talk about it. Talk about it when you can. Talk about it in a healthy way. Even if that means you have to cry, you get emotional about it, I don't think he should be just let off the hook and footloose and fancy free. And there is so much stigma around, or conversation around, if you ain't got it, if you broke, just say that. If you ain't got it, then just say you need help. Give the kid to the father so he can take care of it. That's not what that means. I need help because this is a two-parent job. That is such a crappy way of viewing things, because it doesn't mean that I'm broke. I could be okay financially supporting myself, but I gotta buy shoes. I gotta buy clothes, food for school, food for at home. So these things cost. This is not a free thing. The kids cost a lot of money every single month. So yes, I need help. And there should not be embarrassment around, or shame or guilt around saying I need help. What do you mean? It costs to be alive. Room and board. Hello? So oh girl, like, I try not to beat my baby daddy up about it because I know he ain't got it, but I also know every time I see him, he's in designer. But I do mention it. It's Christmas time. Parker need new shoes. Parker's grown out of her clothes. I send a text message. If I don't get a response, I move on, because I'm not gonna let it interrupt my peace. Okay, y'all. So our last question. Looking back, what's one thing you wish you knew about co-parenting before you became a parent? When I got pregnant, I truly thought that doing well for myself. I have support from my family. I have nieces and nephews. I have my mom. I have sisters. I have help. I have support. I can provide for my child. Whatever you choose to do or not to do, fine. And looking back now, baby, things change. I got carpal tunnel in both of my wrists that stopped me from braiding. I've had to make sacrifices that I never thought I would make. That child, at the end of the day, is my child, and his child is not nobody else's. And he said this to me. Knowing what I know now, honestly, I wouldn't have got pregnant. I would have been more careful. I don't know if I would have had an abortion. I mean, I don't believe in it, but if it was to happen again, I would consider it, because I don't want to go through that again. That's traumatizing, to not have it, to not be able, like, the worst feeling in the world as a mom is for your child to look at you and say you hungry and you don't got no money and there ain't no food in the refrigerator and he ain't helping and you still got to figure it out. Crushing. So if I could give any advice on, co-parenting, is just have a baby with a man that at least is willing to support. And if that man say he don't want the responsibility, or he don't want children, or, he's not showing up, be willing to deal with whatever comes next. And instead of being resentful and hateful and hold grudges, if you do decide to bring the baby in the world, be prepared for it. Be prepared for the worst case scenario, because I ended up on my mama couch. All right, y'all. So that is the podcast for the day. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Definitely leave me some feedback. Y'all, I got so many new things coming. I will be dropping a new course very soon called the Elite Feminine Currency, because I want the girls to know their value and self-worth, especially if nobody told you. So be on the lookout for that coming, because it is going to help us truly understand our feminine energy, value, and how we should approach these men, and what we should allow and not allow, because there are men who will. And if you are in a place where you feel unworthy and unloved and not really knowing what your value is, we gonna change that narrative. So be on the lookout for that. We tackled some very, very big topics, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I have to edit these videos, I get emotional. I get an adrenaline rush, and I feel overstimulated and overwhelmed just going through the PTSD of it all. But I have overcome so much and have such a different perspective and understanding of, motherhood and co-parenting in general. And so that's why I created this platform. I really, truly hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We will have a special guest on the next episode. I'm so excited about that. And if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, because clearly y'all gonna love it here. I appreciate you guys for watching. Mommy Gang Gang. I will see y'all in the next video.